Everyone thinks the legends of the Wild West died in blazing gunfights at high noon. But the truth is far stranger. One of the most feared gunfighters in America died staring at his bare feet in a hospital bed. Another was shot in the back while dusting a picture frame in his living room. And one of the greatest lawmen in history died mid-sentence at a typewriter. Today we're stripping away the Hollywood paint to look at 21 Old West icons who didn't die like you think. We're talking about the world's deadliest dentist dying while staring at his bare feet, and a legendary outlaw killed because he stopped to dust a picture frame. Stick around because number 16 will shock you. Number 1. Buffalo Bill Cody, the Concrete. Grave Cody was the world's first global superstar, but he died broke at his sister's house. The real drama? His body sat unburied for 6 months while Colorado and Wyoming fought over his remains. Colorado eventually encased his coffin in tons of concrete just to stop Wyoming from stealing him back. Number 2. Bat Masterson, Death by Deadline. The man who cleaned up Dodge City survived dozens of shootouts only to move to New York. He became a sports writer and died in 1921, mid-sentence, slumped over his typewriter from a heart attack. A man of the gun finished by a pen. Number 3. Wyatt Herp, the Hollywood Consultant. Wyatt outlived the frontier entirely. By the 1920s, he was in Los Angeles, giving technical advice to Western actors on movie sets. He died at 80 of natural causes. His pallbearers weren't lawmen, but silent film stars weeping for a legend they'd only played on screen. Number 4. Doc Holliday, the Funny End. A dentist-turned-killer, Doc lived every day expecting a bullet. Instead, tuberculosis claimed him in a Colorado bed. His last words? "This is funny." He was looking at his bare feet. He'd always assumed he'd die with his boots on. Number 5. Annie Oakley, the Broken Heart. Annie was the peerless lady wing shot. She and her husband Frank Butler were inseparable for 50 years. When Annie died in 1926, Frank simply stopped eating. He followed her 18 days later, proving that even in the Wild West, the strongest bond wasn't a holster, but a heart. But Annie Oakley's story isn't even the strangest ending on this list, because later we'll meet a legendary outlaw whose death may have been completely staged, and historians are still arguing about it today. Number 6. Billy the Kid, Shadows and Snacks. Billy didn't go down in a duel. He was 21, walking into a dark room barefoot looking for food. His former friend Pat Garrett was hiding in the shadows and fired twice before Billy could even see him. No glory, just a dark room and a betrayal. Number 7. Davy Crockett, the Alamo Mystery. The myth says he died swinging his rifle atop the walls, but Mexican diaries suggest Crockett was actually captured and executed after the smoke cleared. Whether he fell fighting or was murdered in cold blood, the king of the wild frontier met a brutal, unscripted end. Number 8. Jesse James, the Picture Frame. The most famous outlaw in America was killed while cleaning his house. Jesse had stepped on a chair to dust a picture frame when Bob Ford, a friend, looking for reward money, shot him in the back of the head. He was 34, killed by a coward's greed. Number 9. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the Mystery. After fleeing to Bolivia, the duo was supposedly cornered by the army in 1908. While the official report says they died in a shootout, the bodies were never truly identified. For decades, rumors persisted that Cassidy had faked it all and moved back to the States under a new name. Number 10. Belle Starr, the Unsolved Ambush. The bandit queen was blasted off her horse with a shotgun. The main suspects, her own son and her neighbor. She died in the Oklahoma mud, and the case remains one of the West's most famous cold-blooded mysteries. Number 11. Wild Bill Hickok, the Dead Man's Hand. Wild Bill was killed because of a poker grudge. He broke his own rule and sat with his back to the door in a Deadwood saloon. Jack McCall walked in and shot him in the head. Bill's cards? Aces and eights. A hand feared by players to this day. It's chilling, isn't it? The most dangerous man in the room was killed because he sat in the wrong chair. But before we get to the tragedy of Calamity Jane, I want to hear from you. We're halfway through our list, and we've already seen legends killed by typewriter deadlines, picture frames, and poker games. If you were a legend in the Old West, how would you want to be remembered? Would you rather go out in a legendary showdown that people talk about for centuries, or would you prefer to slip away quietly in a bed like Wyatt Herp? Drop your legend status in the comments right now. I'm reading every single one to see who has the true frontier spirit. Number 12. Calamity Jane, the final joke. Jane was a scout and a storyteller, but she spent her final years in a bottle. She died of pneumonia in a cheap room, wrecked by alcoholism. She was buried next to Wild Bill, a move many believe was a final, cruel joke played by the townspeople. Number 13. Pat Garrett, the roadside shot. The man who killed Billy the Kid died in a way that lacked any dignity. He was shot in the back while stopped on a roadside to relieve himself. The killer was acquitted in 15 minutes. Even the legendary lawmen weren't safe from a backshot. Number 14. John Wesley Harden, the dice game. Harden once shot a man for snoring. After years in prison, he became a lawyer, but his past caught up to him in an El Paso saloon. While shooting dice, he was shot in the back of the head by a lawman. He never saw it coming. Number 15. Black Bart, the vanishing poet. Black Bart was a gentleman who robbed 28 stagecoaches with a flour sack on his head and poems left in the strongbox. After serving time, he simply vanished in 1888. No body, no shootout, just a final quiet exit for the West's most polite bandit. Number 16. Bass Reeves, the indestructible. The real-life Lone Ranger arrested 3,000 outlaws and was never once hit by a bullet. He died in 1910 of kidney disease at age 71. It took a failing body to do what 3 decades of outlaws couldn't. Stop Bass Reeves. Number 17. Tom Horn, the hired gun. A scout who became a cold-blooded assassin for cattle barons. He was hanged for the murder of a 14-year-old boy, though he claimed he was framed while drunk. He walked to the gallows with an eerie, quiet calm that haunted the witnesses. Number 18. Pearl Hart, the forgotten old lady. The last stagecoach robber was a woman who became a media sensation, but after prison, she faded into total obscurity. She lived until 1955, dying as a quiet old lady in Arizona, while movies were already turning her life into a myth. Number 19. Seth Bullock, the civilized sheriff. The real sheriff of Deadwood didn't die in a gunfight. He became a successful businessman and a friend to Teddy Roosevelt. He died in his own bed in 1919, a man who outlived the chaos he helped tame. Number 20. Geronimo, the fallen warrior. The Apache leader didn't die in battle. He died as a prisoner of war after 20 years of being paraded at fairs. He fell off his horse into a creek while drunk and died of pneumonia, a tragic, lonely end for a man who once defied 2 nations. Number 21. The final truth, the death of the West. The 21st legend is the West itself. It didn't end with a bang, but with fences and taxes. Most of these legends didn't die from lead. They died because the world grew too small, too quiet, and too civilized for the lives they led. The sunset of the lawless, why the West had to die. When the dust finally settles on these 21 stories, a cold truth remains. The tragedy of the Old West isn't that it was violent, it's that it was profoundly human. These weren't the invincible titans Hollywood sold us. They were dentists fighting a cough, orphans looking for a meal, and legends who spent their final years as prisoners of their own fame. The frontier didn't end with a final gunfight. It ended when the world grew too small, too fenced in, and too civilized for the people who helped build it. In the end, the most dangerous enemy wasn't a rival gunslinger. But here's the real question I want to leave you with. Who had the better ending? Was it Billy the Kid, who died at 21 with his legend intact? Or Wyatt Herp, who lived to 80 only to watch movie stars pretend to be him on a studio backlot? Is it better to die a hero in the dirt, or live long enough to see yourself become a ghost in a Hollywood machine? Drop your take in the comments right now. I'll be down there replying to the best ones.